Australia?
Yay. It's actually really cold morning for December.
Well, it's chilly
Cannot
here in
believe it.
Texas too.
Yeah, but it's meant to be chilly in Texas. It's not meant to be chilly in Australia. I'm wearing a jumper and it's like December. It's like
I
really,
need I need a
it's
jumper
actually
too.
been snowing in the mountains.
Oh, really? I
Yeah,
bet that's beautiful.
yeah.
I could stand a jumper myself, but I'll just have to wait till I can get one.
Now you'll have to get a sweater.
Well, I could get a sweater, but I've also got a jumper in there that I'm going to put on. I'm just a little chill today, just a little bit.
Well, how's your Christmas lead up going?
So far, so good. So far, so
Yeah,
good. We're planning a little
I just
short
love
trip
this
to
time of
Dallas.
year. Oh,
Sorry?
lovely. I just love this time of year. I love catching up with people. I love seeing clients. I just love,
hmm
it's just such a fun time of year.
hmm hmm I really like watching the Facebook and seeing what all our friends around the world are doing and how they're celebrating too. I think it's really neat that we can
Yeah,
do that,
yeah, me
pick up on
too,
that.
me
Yeah.
too. It's great.
Well, so
It's a,
today we're going to do a little bit of eye reading, right?
yeah, bring
Okay.
it on.
Yeah. Well, you're in control of that, boss.
Okay, doll. All right, here we go.
Perfect.
What
Perfect.
beautiful eyes.
Yes, they are beautiful. You want to go ahead and start, and I'll fill in some
Well,
gaps
I would,
later.
I mean, like, I mean, I don't know this person, but I would say to them if they came into my clinic, I'd say, "Oh, wow, you've got such beautiful eyes," and I mean, they're a biliary type.
Yeah.
I know they're mixed type, mixed biliary, and mixed biliary need one of their lessons in life is to learn to just listen to the people who love them.
hmm
Because they've got your back.
hmm
Mm. And biliary types need to protect their liver. They need to their primary nurture point is their liver. And what I usually say to them is people with eyes like yours, usually what they need to do is protect their liver. So I want you to avoid things like red meat, rich sweets, dairy, things that haven't got lots of nutrients, basically. Like and deliver your inside your gut, give it lots of nutrient-rich foods.
hmm
The liver loves things like smoothies and spinach and nuts and things like that that have really
hmm
strong nutrients, rather than a piece of toast with Vegemite on top, which
Right.
doesn't have much nutrients at all.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What
I
about
remember
you?
one of the things that Dr. Jensen used to say, if you're green, you're clean. You
Yes,
want
that's a
more
good one.
greens. You want more greens. So make sure that you have several servings of greens a day, even if you have to get it in that smoothie. That's a wonderful way to hide it and
Absolutely.
and get it in there. Now, if you do like greens,
Yeah.
obviously that's going to be pretty easy for you. But if you're green, you're clean. So
I love that. I'm going to write that down and use
there you
that.
go.
If you're
That
clean, you're
one of the
clean.
first things that he taught when I studied under him. There is
Awesome.
a lot to see in this eye. It is quite the mixed biliary palette, if you will.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
some of the features that stand out to me about this eye, and let's look at the left eye specific. So if you're watching this, the left eye, of course, is going to be on your right. But if you look at the 9 o'clock area, and I know it could be a little challenging for some to see, inside the collarette, right there in that 9 o'clock position, we see the Peyer's patch area. And the Peyer's patch area is going to be related to the lymph system built around our bowels and our large and small intestine. If we look just outside of that and we see the lacuna out there, that's going to be representative of the heart area. So that's where I would like to focus my attention with this client. I would talk about the physical nature of that, of course, and the physical health of that, and how the bowel will work alongside the heart in conjunction as well, how they work with each other.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to move into behaviors, I want to talk to this client about inner truth, especially in this left eye. And the opposite of inner truth is going to be our heart. So if you would move your cursor, Chris, if you would move it over to that 3 o'clock position, and we can see in that left eye that we've got some structure in that heart lung area. Okay. So I'm going to talk to this client about opening up their heart and getting the inner truth to come out. And a lot of times it is very hard to speak our inner truth if our heart is not behind it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to focus on that right eye for just a second, too. In the same position, and we're noticing in there the physical side of the right ventricle area of the heart. Now, I'm still going to talk about the same thing. I'm going to talk about inner truth. I'm going to talk about the heart as far as behaviors. But one of the things I want to touch on, and you and I have not talked about this in great detail, but when students get into level 3, they'll start learning a little bit more about this, and that is time risk that Dr. Daniela Garito tells us and talks to us about, and has taught several classes on that. But if we look at both eyes, I want to eventually talk to my client about an occurrence at the age of 15. What went on at 15? Is it something that hurt their heart? Was it
Yeah.
the breakup of a family? Was it the death of someone in the family? It could be any type of trauma, but I believe that that's causing some heaviness around the chest, and that's causing some heartache. Okay, so
Yes.
I'm going to lead my client into working with that behavior. Of course, after we address the physical, I do believe that addressing the physical is the first and most important thing we should do
Absolutely.
with our client.
Yeah. Top on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing I was thinking of, like, I mean, there's obviously quite a lot of rarefaction in the kidney area. So the kidneys are going to be her another primary nurture point for her. So obviously you talk about hydration and what she's drinking, and
Mhm.
so probably for this person, given her biliary nature, her mixed nature, um, anything apart from water wouldn't be that good for her, to be honest.
Right. Right.
Like we're talking like this person should not be having sodas and anything that's not highly rich in nutrients. Like
Sure.
even too much fruit juice and things wouldn't be so good for her because she shouldn't not shouldn't. I don't like to use the word shouldn't, but it'd be better for her not to be having high sugar levels. Yeah.
Exactly.
But it's interesting that there was I was debating this when I first saw these eyes, that there's whether it's a cardiorenal syndrome, because there's a little lacuna here and a little lacuna there.
Mhm.
And, is it big enough to be a cardiorenal? But what I always try and remember is with an iris is that it's what you're seeing up on the screen is two-dimensional, but the
Mhm.
iris is not two-dimensional. It's
Right.
topographical.
Yep.
There's highs and lows in it. It's like a mountain range.
Mhm.
And it's like looking at an anatomy chart, like a muscle chart, like that's just two-dimensional. It's not, it doesn't depict all our muscles because we're three-dimensional.
Sure.
So I always try and think about that when in the iris. If you're thinking, is that this sign? Is it that sign? Ask them the questions.
Mhm.
I'll be
Mhm.
asking the questions. The people with eyes like yours are sometimes related to people that may have had some heart issues
Mhm.
or kidney issues.
Mhm.
Does that relate to you? And then they might say something about their grandparents or themselves.
Mhm. Mhm.
I just find that that's a really good lead way into getting the right answers.
Mhm.
That's all about the questions. Any sign we see leads us to the questions to ask.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's one of the things that I share with my students as well. And I think a lot of students get hung up on what questions to ask.
yeah,
Therefore, you have to know how the body works. You have to know how the heart pumps blood and oxygen moves through the body. And you have to
yeah,
know these things and how they work in relation to each other to formulate a good question,
yeah,
that you can ask. Now, I'm glad you brought that up because when you're talking about the kidney and straight down there at that 6 o'clock, and we see that little lacuna, if we move straight up from the 6 o'clock position on up to the 12 o'clock position, we see stubbornness up there. We see a little bit of structure in that area, but down at 6 o'clock is our perfection. Okay. Anytime we see that 12 o'clock movement or structure in that 12 o'clock position and structure in that 6 o'clock position, this means the client is going to have difficulty undoing things. That may
yeah,
be the diet, that may be the way she speaks to people, that may be
yeah,
in her actions. you know. So whatever the challenge that the client is facing, don't go in there and beat them up and say, oh, well, you're stubborn. We're all stubborn just a little bit. But when we actually have these markings and they're showing in the eye like this, that just means she just may have a little bit more difficulty moving out of
Yeah,
that area that she needs to work on.
yeah.
So we give them some
And,
grace. We extend
and on
some
on
grace
a
and give them time.
absolutely, and on a physical level, it'd be really good to guide this client into detoxing. At least,
Yes.
probably, I'd say, just given the color and the structures, twice a year would be a great idea for this client.
Yes. Yes.
And even giving themselves some rest time where there's maybe some fasting and etc. But obviously that's over time. You want to do a bit of cleansing first, real nurturing to the gastric system.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
isn't it interesting about these colors here? When I
Yes.
first saw this eye, I thought, oh, what is that? And I really think it's colored tophi.
Yes. I do too.
Do
I
you
do too.
agree? Yeah, yeah,
Which furthers what you just said. It is now very important to start a detox program.
yeah,
A detox program. And if you look just a little bit outside into that sclera, and it's very hard to see. It's just because there's a little bit of shadow in that sclera area outside of that liver gallbladder area, but we can definitely see pigmentation built up
yeah.
around that gallbladder and the like we were talking about the darkened tophi. We've got some movement out in the sclera that's giving us indication that we do need to go ahead and detox.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you said that this was a one girl. So one of the one girl lessons is to let go of control, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
And it's hard.
yeah.
It's
It is. It
coming
is.
from a one girl, I should know that.
Well,
But
you're still working on that, aren't you? I
yeah,
can say
okay.
that. I can say that being 20,000 kilometers away from you.
That's right. That's right. You're safe. You're very safe. Boom. Push the end button. No, no, all joking aside, yes, that is something all number one girls need to work on is giving up some of the control.
Yeah. And
It's
that's all
not
part of her detox. Obviously it's physical
part of the
and
detox.
emotional and
Yeah. Yeah.
and all of that together.
It's all in the path that we're
Yeah.
supposed to follow.
But beautiful eyes, aren't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah, they are. They're just a palette. Mixed
Yeah.
biliary palette.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think we did good.
Yeah.
Now, for people that are learning and just learning the physicality, remember that just like you said, what we see in the eyes is going to show us the questions that we need to ask. And
Yeah.
for a lot of people that are just learning about behaviors and things like that, one of the most important things that we can work with our client in and help their family to understand is while they're working on themselves, really to extend grace.
Yeah.
Allow them the time to change because we just can't flip a switch and give up control tomorrow.
Absolutely.
We can't
Absolutely.
give up who we are. So it's going
Yeah.
to take time. It's going to take like a fine wine. We want to age and we want to mellow.
Yeah.
So be sure and extend your client that grace and that amount of time to change and learn about your essential oils and your flower essences to help the client in that behavioral healing process as well.
Yeah. And as many of you know, I'm the type of iridologist and naturopath who doesn't do very long consultations. The first time I like to just focus on the constitution and the diet. And then I like to say, I usually I give them a sheet of what to do for that particular constitution. And I usually just write down 3 nurture points at the bottom because, there's so much information there that you could literally write a 30-page book. But, I would have just picked the gut, liver and kidneys and possibly the heart and give them something to do for each of those. And with the liver, like if I was going to focus on possibly diet the first time and hydration, I would just say, let's start your day with some lemon juice because it's a really good liver cleanser. Yeah, and if they're open to it, maybe they could add some turmeric into it or something like that. Just little things that they can change straight away because they don't want to be overwhelmed, like, you know, overwhelmed with all of this information. Like for me, for instance, because I'm a flower type, if I sat down for an hour and a half with an iridologist who told me all this information, I would leave going, oh, what was that? I just, you know, like I really prefer little snippets.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. That's important.
Awesome.
That's important. Oh, I think we knocked it out of the park again.
Excellent. Yay.
Yep.
So what's on for the rest of the day for you?
Oh, probably a little more studying, I believe. Just some preparation for some iridology sessions that I have on the
Yeah.
books, and just
Yay.
enjoying the day.
Great.
How
Well,
about you?
I'm just about to start my work day. I've got a full day of clients,
Good.
and then I'm going to go out to a Christmas dinner
How
with some
nice.
friends. Love it.
How nice.
Oh, I just love
Well,
this time of year.
l-
But I just wanted to thank everyone. Like, I'll just stop my share. I just wanted to thank everyone for the just a great year. We've had a really great year. We've met
yeah,
some
we have.
really amazing people from lots of
Mhm,
different
mhm.
lots of different continents. We haven't got to Africa yet, but we will.
Yep.
Um, yeah, and it's just been so fun, just, you know, and just being with you all. So really, thank everyone who's been subscribing, who's been listening. We love you, and we're going to keep going and learn and meet lots and lots more people next year.
We're going to meet lots more new iridologists that are out there that may not be associated with our associations, but they're out there and they're making a difference in people's lives. They're changing the world around them. They may be teaching. We want to know you. We want to meet you. We want to share and hug you from afar. But Chris, we've been all over the world this year.
We
Isn't that
have.
cool?
Been great. It's been
Went to
so much
Greece
fun.
just a couple of weeks ago. We were in your backyard a couple of weeks ago. We've been to Brazil. We saw Dr. Paulo in Brazil. And oh my gosh, we've been all
China,
over.
Malaysia, India.
We went to India. Yes, we
Awesome.
did.
Yeah.
I think we
Yeah.
were in Italy a time or two this year.
Sri
So
Lanka. Yeah.
we've been everywhere, been
Love it.
everywhere. And we
Okay.
really didn't have to leave our seat to do it, but we have been
No,
able
that's
to
it.
share worldwide a little bit from every iridologist that we've met. So this next year, we're going to focus on changing it up a little bit. We're going to ask some new questions. 3 new questions are coming down the pike. It's going to be better, just bigger and better.
Yay.
Yeah, yay, yay.
Awesome.
All right, doll. I wish you the happiest of Christmases if I don't talk to you before then. A
Yep.
very happy new year. And to all of our subscribers and the people that watch us from around the world, whatever you celebrate, happy holidays. We love you, we appreciate you, and we thank you.
Happy holidays, and I look forward to spending a lot of 2023 with you.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
I do. Bye. How do I stop?